Good morning and welcome if you're just joining us here today. We're doing the COVID-19 Minute Clinic. So any negative thoughts or feelings or emotions you have around COVID-19, I'm going to be here to help you delete those negative thoughts and do it in less than a few minutes. So again, if you've just joined us here today, if you can, in the comment section there, you can leave your name and where you're from. And today I'm going to be doing free sessions for those of you that might be impacted by COVID-19. Whether it's you, perhaps a family member, a child or family member that have been negatively impacted by this. Perhaps you're feeling some negative emotions around COVID-19. Maybe you're feeling some anxiety around there, or some worry, or some stress, or perhaps some depression or frustration. Maybe some anger or resentment all around COVID-19. And these are all valid emotions that we can feel around, related to different situations, different events. So I'm here to help you delete these negative emotions here in our clinic here today. It's called a minute clinic because most of the time, once we identify these emotions, we can release them within minutes. So again, if you just joined us here today, you can put your name in the comment section, where you're from. We're doing free minute clinic sessions here today, and we'll be doing these sessions here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the month of May, 9 a.m. Pacific time. I think we're coming on, I think this is our 7th or 8th one now this month. We're coming up to our 8th one. I've had extreme success on helping people delete negative emotions around COVID-19 or negative thoughts. And been doing this for a little while here now, so you're welcome to have some work done on yourself if you like here today. You can just leave your name in the comment section and where you're from. And I'm looking for 2 volunteers today that I can work on, at least 2 volunteers in our minute clinic today. In order to volunteer, we need 4 different things. Number 1, we need the thought or the feeling or the emotion that you're experiencing related to COVID-19, and maybe it's even more than one negative emotion. And when I say negative emotions, I mean things like anxiety or depression or anger or resentment or frustration. Those are what we call negative emotions. So we need to know what thoughts or feelings you're having around COVID-19 here, and the severity of those thoughts or feelings. And when I say severity of those thoughts and feelings, we're talking, if you can see this here, severity between 1 to 10. So 10 would be a very severe frustration or anxiety or worry. 1 would be next to none. So we need to know the severity then of this thought or feeling or emotion you have around COVID-19. And we need your permission to do the work. And this is important because without your permission, we can't help you out. And if you have a child that you would like us to work on, as long as they're under the age of 18, and as we have your permission as a parent, we can do some work on them as well. Once they're over the age of 18, we need their permission. And then after we've done a session for you, if you can update me here, wait a minute or so after your session and update me here in your comment section as to what you're noticing or feeling after our work here today. So again, welcome to our COVID-19 Minute Clinic here. I'm here to delete any negative emotions or thoughts or feelings around COVID-19. So are you feeling some anxiety around COVID-19? Maybe you're feeling a little depressed because you're not able to, you haven't been able to see some of your family or friends for a while. Maybe there's some anxiety about the fact that you're been off work or your work has been cut back. Maybe there's some feelings of frustration because you want everything to get back to normal, but we know it's going to take some time here. Maybe there's some thoughts that you have around COVID-19 that are not really serving you to maintain for long periods of time. And why is that? Because these are things that impact us. They impact us in a big way. Our emotions, especially our emotions that we feel around things. So when we're doing the work here, I use what's called the emotion code chart here. And so I use the emotion code chart. Now this is going to show up backwards on your screen, but it's the emotion code chart here. And there's 60 different emotions here that we can experience around negative events, people, different things in our lives. And I'll read you off some of these emotions because these are 60 of the most common emotions that we tend to experience. And these are the ones we tend to hold on into our energy field. And when we hold on to them in our energy field, that has a huge impact on our well-being. So things like failure, helplessness, discouragement, defensiveness, lost, feeling overwhelmed, feeling some shock around COVID-19, maybe some dread, maybe some anger or bitterness, perhaps some grief or some things like sadness, maybe some sadness. Maybe this has impacted a family member or someone you know, and there'll be some sadness, some grief around that to feel for them. And maybe some of you have actually maybe lost some friends, and I'm sorry for that, but caring, we can help you delete some of these emotions that are tied into these particular situations or events. So if you just joined us here today, just put your name and where you're from in the comment section here. And I'm here deleting negative emotions for people that have been impacted by COVID-19. This is the COVID-19 Minute Clinic. So imagine that. You don't even have to go out to go to a clinic. You can be right at home here and participate in this Minute Clinic. And why are we doing this? We're doing this because I'm very passionate about helping people. I have been for many, many years. And this is one way I can give back to people. For all the people that I'm grateful for that I've been able to help over the years, I believe it's important to give back. And that's why I'm doing these COVID-19 Minute Clinics. So if you just joined us here, I'm John Schlapbach. I am a certified body code, emotion code practitioner and former emotion code instructor for Dr. Brad, and I'm here to share with you some of the effects that can happen when we're holding on to these negative emotions. And how does that work really? Well, first of all, if you can think of pretty well every major event in your life, you're going to have some emotions you're going to feel around these events. Now, maybe if it was a wedding or something like this, those memories are going to come back, and memories of maybe some joy, some happiness, some gratitude, maybe that you experience in that type of event. And those are what we call like positive, sort of uplifting emotions. Joy and happiness and gratitude and forgiveness. They're all high vibrational resonance type emotions. So imagine when you're vibrating at joy or happiness, how your vibration gets raised as well. And then there's these, what we refer to them as negative emotions. And why do we call them negative emotions? Mostly because of their vibrational energy. So everything vibrates at its own frequency. Right now, everything around you is some form of energy. That chair you might be sitting on, the device you may be looking at here to watch this, everything is some form of energy, and everything is vibrating at that particular frequency. So when we have emotions like anger or frustration or depression, these emotions can actually lower our vibration. And when they lower our vibration, guess what happens? Our immune system gets depressed at the same time. If we're holding on to a lot of anger, and let's say we had an event happen when we were 4 years old, and we were very angry about what happened to us or how we were treated or something, and we never let that anger go. We held on to that anger. Imagine holding on to that anger for 10, 20, 30 years. Do you think it's having an impact? Absolutely. Now, anger can be generated by the liver gallbladder. So guess what? That liver has over 500 functions in your body. Well over 500 functions. So if it's not happy, or if part of it is vibrating at anger or frustration or resentment or whatever that is, it could impact the functioning of your liver or gallbladder. And the liver gallbladder is connected to different muscles. The gallbladder connects to your right knee. So sometimes issues with our right knee are due to emotions generated by the gallbladder. So most of these emotions here that you're seeing on the chart here are generated by different organs and glands. And this was discovered by Dr. Nelson many years ago. He's a holistic chiropractor who had many patients coming to him, and he always came across these patients that never seemed to quite get better. They had this chronic back issue or shoulder problem or neck problem, and it was something that they've tried many things, and I don't know, you might be able to relate to this. I have a hunch you might know someone who maybe has some type of chronic pain in their body, but they can't seem to figure it out. Anyone know anyone like that? Yeah, these are what we call unexplained chronic pains. And guess what? Most of the time, these unexplained chronic pains are tied into negative emotions, right? And so Dr. Nelson started to develop this program well over 20 years ago, and he started to identify different emotions that people would be experiencing. For instance, if they came in with a lower back issue that never seemed to get better, he would start asking their subconscious mind, is there any other reason why Bob or Fred has this chronic lower back problem? And is it emotional? And he would do his muscle testing, and if it was emotional, he would try to identify the emotion through muscle testing and then try to find a way to remove it or lessen it or delete it from your system. So this is the second edition of Dr. Bradley Nelson's book called The Emotion Code. It's got a foreword here by Tony Robbins in here, and also Greg Braden, if you've heard of Greg Braden. Very highly endorsed book. This is the second edition. The difference between this one and the first edition was, in this particular edition, there are testimonies from other practitioners as well besides Dr. Nelson here, and how to release your trapped emotions for better health, happiness, and that's really what it was all about, for more love, abundant health, love and happiness, how to release these negative emotions. And these negative emotions have been with us all our lives. As human beings, we are emotional beings, like I said. It's emotions that drive us, so to speak, through our lives. If we're doing a project, for example, and if we're emotionally invested in completing this project, we have a much better chance of completing that project. So our emotions are what drive us, and it's our emotions that cause us to think the way we do, cause us to behave or respond the way we do. A lot of that's dictated by our emotions. So imagine if you met someone that you knew from before, and 10 years ago they had done something that had upset you. And so maybe you had some anger around that issue. Well, here it is 10 years later, and that anger is still somewhere in your energy field. You didn't process it, you didn't release it, you didn't let it go. You held on to that. And guess what? When we hold on to these negative emotions, they can make us sick. The Center for Disease Control says that pretty well 80% of all diseases have some kind of emotional component. So I'm here to tell you that we can identify these emotions, these negative emotions, and we can delete them for you within minutes. So if you just joined us today, I want to say hi to everyone out there. And we see Claude Prika, I think it's Prika is watching. Hello today. And for all those other people here, if you'd like to put your name in the comment section, just where you're from as well. We're doing our COVID-19 minute clinic here, and I'm here to delete any negative emotions or thoughts that you may have around COVID-19. And how do we do that? We use I use what's called it's called a 7-key process. You can see that. I reversed these for Facebook Live. It's normally you'd see it this way. So you got your 7-key process here for identifying and releasing these emotions. So what's the first thing we have here? It is what we call, oops, here we go. Upside down or backwards, there we go. Our emotion code chart is what we use. And again, these are 60 different emotions that Dr. Nelson has tested and discovered over many years, most common emotions that we tend to hold on to. So we use our emotion code chart. That's our first step here in helping you delete these negative emotions. And then the next step here is what we call muscle testing. We use muscle testing to help identify these negative emotions. And for those of you that aren't familiar with muscle testing has been around since, well, I first started doing it in the early 70s. I learned muscle testing from a master practitioner who was muscle testing people for nutritional supplements. In other words, he was asking your subconscious mind through your body, through muscle testing, John, do you need vitamin C? Do you need vitamin D? Are there any particular things that you need? And he would muscle test, and once he got a strong test, which was like a yes, he would say, okay, yes, you do need vitamin C. And let's see, I've got 3 different brands here. Let's see which brand of vitamin C is best for you. So he would take that brand and he'd have me hold it against my chest, and then he would muscle test me to see if I had a strong response or a weak response. So with the strong response, we have some resistance with the muscle testing. It's resist. And then with a weak response, there's a little give with it. It gives. So those are, that's a second part of doing the emotion code, the muscle testing. So the next part of doing the emotion code is what we call proxy here. Or let's reverse that here for you if we can. That's proxy testing. So what's proxy testing? Proxy testing is working on someone from a distance, or it's a form of energy healing, whereby I can move my subconscious mind out of the way and tap into your subconscious mind and ask yes or no questions, right? So for example, if we want to know how well your immune system is functioning, we just have to ask your subconscious mind through muscle testing, is it functioning over 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60? And so muscle testing is a way to access the subconscious mind through the body. It's also known as bioenergetics or muscle response testing. Dr. John Diamond first wrote about this many years ago, back in the 70s, as a chiropractor, about muscle testing and how he started to use it with his patients as well, even to use it to help determine where you needed adjustment, whether it was in your neck area or in your upper back somewhere. He could test to see where you were out and get fairly accurate testing there. So again, muscle testing has been around for a lot of years. There's a book called The Divided Mind by Dr. John Sarno, and he talks about how emotions can impact our overall well-being. And it's a major cause of chronic back pain, for example. And then there's also another book, you may have heard of this one. It's called Power versus Force, Dr. David Hawkins. In his books, and this particular book, he writes about using muscle testing to ask questions of our subconscious, but also to determine our level of conscious awareness. So using muscle testing for that. Just recently, the Oxford University did a major study on muscle response testing. And what they found in their study was that it was 80%, if not more, accurate than most of our medical testing, diagnostic testing that we have today. So imagine that, going to the actual mind of that person and asking that mind or that person what's going on or what's causing this. Why do we do that? Because we're talking about our subconscious mind here. And our subconscious mind is sort of our super mind, so to speak. We have our conscious mind and we have our subconscious mind. So imagine if you're going along in the ocean and you come across an iceberg and you see the tip of an iceberg there on the ocean, and you're coming up there on your boat, and as you're getting closer, you're seeing the tip of that iceberg. So what you're seeing is the tip of that iceberg that's sticking out above the water. We could sort of say that's like the conscious mind, because it's maybe 5 to 10% of our actual mind is what we now call our conscious mind. That's where we make conscious decisions and choices and stuff. And imagine now, underneath the water, though, there's the peak of the iceberg there sitting above the water. But if you actually go below the water, all of a sudden you see that, geez, the majority of that iceberg is underwater. We can't even see it from the surface. It's underwater. And that's our subconscious mind. So again, our conscious mind is here, our subconscious mind is here, and our subconscious mind is the super mind. Why? Because it knows everything about us. It knows everything that we've ever tasted in our life, everything that we've ever touched, everything that we've ever experienced. Any situation in life or event, it's all recorded in our subconscious mind. It knows, for example, how well is your liver happy? Is your gallbladder happy? It knows, why do I have this pain in this left shoulder that never goes away? It knows how well is your nervous system functioning. It knows your glands as well. Are your glands happy? It knows your nutritional needs as well. Do you need vitamin C? Do you need vitamin D? What are you lacking? Your subconscious mind knows all those things. It knows everything about you. So that's why when we do our muscle testing here, there we go. When we do our muscle testing here, we are talking to that subconscious mind, and we are asking yes or no questions. You know, is my immune system happy or no? Is it running over 50%, over 60%? Yes or no? So that's how we determine different emotions or thoughts or feelings you may be experiencing from COVID-19. Okay. And then we usually need to know, for example, the severity of this thought or emotion around COVID-19. How severe is that? Is that anxiety quite intense? Is that frustration very intense? It gives us a little bit of a base to work from. And then, of course, part of the 7-step process here with the emotion code is what we call permission. That's right. We need your permission to do the work on you. I do not work on people without their permission. First of all, it's unethical. And secondly, when you have someone's permission to do the work, it also opens up that connection that you may have. And believe me, we're all energetically connected. So permission is very, very important. And once we have that permission here, we use a magnet. Yeah, we use a magnet to help to identify these negative emotions. And I'm using this particular magnet here today. This is a Nikan magnet from the Japanese health company. Why do I use these? Well, I use these because they're balanced with the Earth's magnetic field. And not only are they balanced with the Earth's magnetic field, if I have some tension and stress, I can actually use them for other things as well. So, and the other reason we use a magnet is because magnets are a pure form of energy. Did you know that we are magnetic and light beings as well? That we run on magnetic energy? Positive and negative charges. We're electrical systems in a sense. We need those positive and negative charges. So we run on magnetic and light energy as well. So this particular magnet helps to delete these emotions, and we run it on what we call the central governing meridian. And that meridian runs between your eyebrows, runs over the top of your head to the base of your skull, right down to the base of your spine. That governing meridian is connected to your whole energy field, your whole body. And so when we're identifying or releasing these emotions or thoughts, we're going to run that magnet for you over your central governing meridian. Remember, we're connected energetically, and that helps to delete that thought or emotion for you. The other interesting thing about magnets that you may or may not know, I'm familiar with this because for the last over 25 years, I've been an energy medicine consultant. So I consult in the area of using magnets for health, certain types of water, good healthy water, healthy sleep, even healthy nutrition. Those are areas I've consulted in for years. I've taught a lot about magnetic energy, but guess what? When it comes to magnets, did you know that our thoughts are magnetic? Did you know that our thoughts are magnetic? There's a charge to our thoughts. And the interesting thing is you can actually, through this work, you can actually magnetically or through that energetic connect, you can connect with people all over the world. So I'll explain how that works here. We don't totally know how it works, but I'll explain how that works in a second here. And I just wanted to say hello to Ellison. Ellison is watching. Nice to see you, Ellison. I'm glad you're here today for our COVID-19 Minute Clinic here. So yeah, when it comes, for those of you that are parents, for example, and you have children, even when your children are not at home sometimes, I don't know if you've ever experienced this as a parent, but all of a sudden you get this sense that maybe your son, maybe he's not doing so well. I don't think he's happy, or maybe he's feeling a little depressed. And sometimes you can feel that, and you don't even have to be with that person. You can know that about your children sometimes, and they can be hundreds of miles away. So there's this energetic connection that we all have, right? And so when I do this work and I act as a proxy here for you, where is that here? When I act as a proxy for you here, in doing this work, what I am doing is I am, again, moving my subconscious out of the way, connecting to your subconscious, and asking questions. Well, why does that left shoulder hurt? Or is there an emotion that we can release for you tied into COVID-19? Or how well is your immune system functioning? These are all questions we can ask. And then the other important thing is that me as a practitioner, first of all, that I'm well hydrated to do the work. I need to be well hydrated, and you as receiving the work need to be well hydrated. So speaking of that here, I'm just going to have a little sip of my water here. I drink structured water. I have for many years. It apparently helps with the absorption of water, but drinking water is very important. I don't know if yesterday I was on an online summit. This was our third summit for the month of May. And this was with 4 other certified practitioners. And this was I don't know if you know Michael Losier, the author of The Law of Attraction, who's now a certified emotion code practitioner. He's a colleague, associate of mine as well. And he developed this program where these minute clinics. So he got me interested in doing these as well. So Michael's been doing this for a few years now. He's had some extreme success, like myself, having extreme success on working with people from all over the world with different types of issues. So whether it's a health issue, whether it's a relationship issue, maybe it's something to do with work or success or money, all of these issues that we have in our life, what stops us, prevents us, or holds us back sometimes from moving forward in our life, most of the time it's these trapped emotions, Right. So if you just joined us here today, I'm doing some live sessions here. I'm looking for 2 volunteers that I can work on in our minute clinic here today. Any negative thoughts or emotions that you may have around COVID-19, you can just put them in the comment section here below. The severity then of those, is that anxiety or that frustration? Is it just a mild sense of frustration, or is it quite severe? So on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 is very severe, so you can let us know how severe is that. So what's the thought or feeling you're experiencing around COVID-19? How severe is that from your perspective? Also permission, giving us the permission here to do the work on you. And then once we've done a session for you, then you can just update me here, wait a minute or so and update me here as to how you're doing. So again, another thing that I'm doing for people here today as part of this is checking people's immune systems. So if you haven't had your immune system checked recently, that's something I can also do for you. That's using what we call the body code. The emotion code is when we're focused on emotions and we're running off of our chart. The body code program is the master program, and that's where we can look at all kinds, 6 different types of imbalances that may be causing issues for you. For example, are you dealing with pathogens? Are you dealing with misalignments in your energy field? Maybe in your spine, or maybe you have organs misaligned. Nutrition and lifestyle imbalances, for example, nutritional deficiencies. Do you have an issue with sleep? Are there certain foods you need to eliminate, or certain foods that you need to add to your diet for certain reasons? Also, in the other category, there's 6 categories. Remember, it's the energetic category, and that's where we spend most of our time, in the energy category. And that's where our emotions are, in that energetic category. And then there's what we call circuits and systems. So we can pretty well check every system in your body, every organ, every gland, see how it's doing. And there's also what we call disconnections, sometimes where one part of your body is not communicating with another part. And then the final of the 6 is what we call toxins, any toxicity. And guess what? When it comes to toxins, guess what? What's the number 1 major toxin that we as human beings deal with? Anyone know what that is? Number 1 toxin? These are what we call toxic thoughts. Again, anger, frustration, resentment, all these things that may be in our energy field, and sometimes they've been there for many years. That's a major part of a lot of our problems. Why? And I worked with the body for almost 30 years as a therapist. I was very, very familiar with the physical body and dealing with all kinds of different problems with it. And but then when I started to study the mind, I was very fascinated by the fact that, guess what? I realized, and this is something new, not new, it's been known for years. I realized that it was the mind that controlled the body. It wasn't the body that controlled the mind. So if I was dealing with an issue with a body issue, a physical issue, if I could talk to the mind and find out what, really where's the main source of this, or where's it coming from, or what's the underlying reason for this issue, then it gave me an advantage. Why? Because when I can delete these negative emotions from your mind, guess what? It raises your vibration. Not only that, a lot of times people will say they feel a little happier, a little healthier. So again, if you just joined us, we're doing our COVID-19 Minute Clinic. If there's any negative emotions or thoughts or feelings that you have around COVID-19 that you'd like us to release today, that's what we're doing here. And we're doing this on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays here. I think this is our last week coming up here for the month of May at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 noon Eastern Time. And you can also stay tuned here. You can go to my website. I think it's up above there. It's visionshealing.com if you want to find out more. You can also go to my facebook.com/visionshealing. We have some other minute clinics that'll be coming up here in June. I'll be doing minute clinics to deal with chronic pain. Do you know anyone, you yourself or anyone do you know who's dealing with some chronic pain, some unexplained chronic pain, maybe something they've had for many years and they just can't seem to get past it or get rid of it, or they've tried all the lotions and potions and everything, but it's still there. Most of the time it's there because of trapped emotions. So I'll be doing some COVID-19 minute clinics, some minute clinics on chronic pain. Yeah, coming up here starting in June. We'll be doing, again, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays in June for people that are dealing with chronic pain. So you're welcome to tag into that as well. Tag your friends. And then also upcoming, I'll be doing some minute clinics on releasing food or drink cravings. So example, if you have a craving for potato chips or brownies or maybe Coca-Cola or something, there's something that you have a craving for or addiction almost in your diet to these particular things. And you know you shouldn't be drinking all this pop. You know it's acidic. You know it's not good for you. Or maybe you shouldn't be eating potato chips. You know, as Michael Losi would say, if you wake up in the morning and there's a potato chip bag in your bed, you know you got a problem. So I'll be doing some eliminating food or drink, certain food or drinks. That's coming up in June as well. The minute clinics for that. I'll give an example here. A while back, I had this thing where I kind of got into, I like salty things. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but I like salted peanuts or salt. And I had this thing, I was having this craving for potato chips for a while there. And as a matter of fact, I wouldn't buy those big, huge bags, but I would probably go through a couple bags a week sometimes of potato chips. And my brand was, I like the Lay's potato chips. Anyone relate to that? I know they're probably not the healthiest. But when I started to realize that how emotions can tend to drive our addictions or our cravings for things. And then Michael Losi introduced me to the fact that, hey, guess what? You can get rid of this stuff fairly quickly. So I had a little session done that was probably a few months ago now, and I really don't have that craving or desire for potato chips. You know, I don't even think about them. You know, I used to think about them every once in a while. You know what that's like? You're thinking, oh, geez, I've got to have some chocolate. You know, you just start thinking about it. And boy, guess what? If you don't have any chocolate in your home, what are you going to do? Probably you're going to go out and get some, right? So I'll be doing these coming up in June as well. I'll be doing these eliminating certain food or drinks from your diet. And guess what? The number one cause of those cravings are trapped emotions. So stay tuned for that. And for those of you that are business orientated or entrepreneurs, stay tuned to my upcoming I'm going to be working with business owners and entrepreneurs, removing blocks for them, and especially working on that area for them of procrastination. You know, is there some project you want to complete you just can't complete? Are you procrastinating on calling up some of your clients, especially now that maybe some of your businesses are getting slowly coming back in? Are you being hesitant to contact your clients? You know, what's holding you back here from expanding your business, or maybe even you have business idea that you want to bring forward. So I'll be doing some sessions for business owners and entrepreneurs. That's also coming up in June. It's going to be a six session process. In other words, I'm looking for 3 to 4 people that want to be part of this group. And it's about 10 to 15 minutes of your time once a week. So could you give up 10 or 15 minutes of your time once a week, one day a week, to work on some of these issues for you? So it's a 6-week program, and so that's coming up here as well. That'll be for business owners and entrepreneurs as well. So again, if you just join us here, we're doing our COVID-19 Minute Clinic. If you're feeling any negative emotions or thoughts or feelings around COVID-19, maybe you're feeling some anger or some frustration, or maybe you're feeling some worry or some nervousness around that, or maybe you're feeling some fear around it. I'm here to help you release those negative emotions using the emotion code. And as a bonus here today, for any one of you watching, if you'd like us to check your immune system as well, we're using the same process, but we use the body code. Just put in the comment section here below. If you'd like us to do a quick check of your immune system, we can do that for you. It doesn't take long. Again, this is a minute clinic. And if your immune system is not functioning where you'd like it to be, then we can find out why. Most of the time, it's, again, trapped emotions, and then we can raise that immune system. It's very important to keep our immune system elevated now, especially with COVID-19 going on. It's our number one line of defense against COVID-19 is our immune system. And it's designed to deal with viruses and bacteria and all kinds of stuff. So we need to keep it boosted. And one of the best ways to do that is release any negative energies that are actually causing our immune system to be, the functioning to be lower. I'll give you a couple of examples here. I was working on a lady here who had some feelings around COVID-19, and she had a couple of emotions around COVID-19, and they were having an impact on her immune system. Remember, these emotions, like depression or anxiety, they can actually depress our energy field in our system. So we did a little test with her. I think her immune system was running at 82%. And there were a couple of emotions we released for her around COVID-19. One of them was the emotion of dread, okay? And the other one was conflict that she was feeling to do with COVID-19. I don't know, maybe some of you can relate to some of those emotions around that. And so once we identified those emotions using the emotion code chart, which column, which row, was it this one, this one, this one, then we were able to use our magnet and run them over the central and delete those emotions for her. And after we deleted those emotions for her, let's see, it was running at 82%, and I'm just looking at my notes here from some of the work I've done. It went up to 96%. So it went from 82% to 96% just with 2 emotions that were affecting the immune system. So if you'd like us to check your immune system as well, just put a yes in there, give us your name, and give us your permission to do that. And another person I was working on, they were feeling around COVID-19, there was the fact that they couldn't get on a plane and go visit their family members during this process. Caused a lot of stress for them. I don't know if you can relate to that, but you know what it's like when, I really haven't seen any of my really good friends in the last 2 months, except for one. I was actually able to go to the barber this week, and he's a good friend of mine, and he was actually just slowly getting back at work, and it was kind of funny. I was at the barber, and he was wearing a mask, of course, and I had to wear a mask as well at the barber shop. So he's cutting my hair and stuff, and then he's got to move those away and cut around there and everything. So it was very different. But that's the first friend really I've seen in a few months. So this woman was going through this process of not being able to see her family. She couldn't get on a plane and just go visit family and friends. So she asked, she said she asked us to check her out and maybe do some work. So what we found was, we found an emotion of sadness. And sadness can affect your lungs as well, or your colon. Again, some of these emotions are generated by different organs and glands. So if there's some sadness or some grief holding on into your lungs, they're not going to be able to function. And we need to keep our lungs healthy, especially at this time with COVID-19. So she was feeling some sadness around that and feeling a little overwhelmed about the fact that she couldn't get out there and go visit her family and friends. So we deleted, and her severity was a 9 out of 10 for her. And we deleted these emotions for her, and we lowered it down. What we really want to do, if the severity is an 8, 9, or 10 or whatever, we want to take that severity and move it down to a 0. That way we know we've eliminated a lot of those things that are leading to those feelings or thoughts. So we released that for her, and then there was some other emotions. There was three other emotions that showed up, and these are what we call psychic trauma emotions. So there's different types of emotions. Trapped emotions are the most common, or unprocessed emotions, but there's also emotions that we can get from other people. We can inherit emotions, but these were what we called trauma. She had what was called a psychic trauma. And psychic trauma emotions were discovered after 9/11 by Dr. Nelson. And these are emotions, when we can feel more than one emotion at the same time, it can get all caught up in that sphere. So usually each emotion that we trap or unprocess is in its own sphere of energy. So imagine if you've got 10 unprocessed emotions here in your shoulder neck area there, and they're all pushing up against here. And they're usually the size of an orange or a grapefruit, the energy so sometimes we can have more than one emotion in that sphere, and that's what we call the psychic trauma emotions. And these were again discovered after 9/11. And so we found 3 psychic trauma emotions there, and again sadness was another one, and overwhelmed. So these were some of the same emotions, but these were in another sphere. Sadness, overwhelmed, and shock. Those were the emotions she was feeling around just this whole idea of not being able to visit family members during this COVID-19 crisis here. So we were able to identify them through the muscle testing. We had a permission. We released those emotions and the psychic trauma emotions. It only took a minute or less to do the release. And I had done a quick check of her immune system before we started doing these releases, and it was running at around 84%, which, for most people, they'd be happy with that. You want your immune system running at least 80% or above whenever possible. And after release those emotions, it was running at 98%. So do these emotions impact us? Absolutely. And I've had extreme success on it in helping people for many years with the emotion code, body code. And that's why I'm here today, to help anyone here that likes some help. If you have some emotions you'd like to, or thoughts around COVID-19, just put them in the comment section here below. Give us the severity of those issues for you on a scale of 1 to 10. And we'll identify them and release them for you. There was something else I wanted to share for as well. You can go to my website. It's visionshealing.com. And on there, you can go on there and you can download, it's called a session menu here. And you see there's a whole bunch of stuff on here. These are a number of things that I've had extreme success on helping people with over the years. I'll give you an example. Things like aching wrist, fingers, and hands. Limiting beliefs about money or success, back pain, upper, mid, lower shoulder pain, knee pain, things like brain fog, things like old negative beliefs, things like hormonal issues, addictions, feelings of stuck. Anyone have those sense? Difficulty breathing, digestive problems. These are some of the things that I've helped people with over the years with the emotion code, body code. So again, working with your subconscious mind, it knows everything about you. And if you're dealing with some health issues or relationship issues or work or success, whatever that is, most of the time it's negative trapped emotions that are underlying those thoughts or feelings. And we can identify them very quickly using our muscle testing, and then release them using our magnet on the central government. We can release those for you. Right. So I'll share another story with you. There is a woman here who had issues with, she was watching the news. Anyone here watching the news quite a bit? I've actually cut back a little bit on watching the news, a little bit, especially over the last few weeks. Can only watch it so much during the day, and And if we watch it too much, sometimes we can have these feelings. And sometimes I've watched the news and I've seen something on the news and I felt gee, that makes me angry when I see what's going on here. So fortunately, I could, if that's the emotion I felt, I could check to see, hey, did I hold on to that or not? And so I'm able to let it go. So it's just gonna allow me to feel a little better. So if you've been watching the news, you might be feeling a little anger, resentment, or frustration, or maybe even some confusion about what's going on. So this woman was watching the news, and every time she would watch the news, she would get an upset tummy. Anyone can relate to that? Nervous tummy and upset tummy. But not only that, her hands and feet would break out in a rash sometimes if she was really stressed about this. So with her permission, what we did was we accessed her subconscious mind through proxy again. I became her name. I tested strong for her name. We identified some emotions. There was actually, I'm looking at here, there was 5 emotions that she had, all that were causing these physical type of symptoms. And one of them was anxiety. Another one was despair. This is all around COVID-19, watching the news. Another one was some nervousness around that, made her nervous. And some worry, all to do with that. And she also felt some grief around just watching the news, seeing everything that's going on, and maybe how it's impacting people, People are still dying every day from this, and we need to be aware that we need to stick together, we need to help each other. And so, anyways, there was these emotions that she was feeling around COVID-19, watching the news, and I tested for the severity. It was a 9 out of 10. So it was quite severe. So imagine having upset tummies or breaking out in rashes if you've watched the news and you've been stressed about it. So we released those emotions for her, and there was also we released those emotions, but there was also another thing there that was underlying this. And this is something outside of using the emotion code chart. I'm going to show you this here. Sometimes we have what we call trauma energies associated with different things. There's several different trauma energies on this chart. So she also had a trauma energy that was tied into this watching the news and the upset tummy and everything. And the trauma energy was apprehension. Anyone relate to that? Apprehension. So we were able to identify that trauma energy here through muscle testing as well. And we were able to delete it just like we would a negative emotion. We were able to delete that and get rid of that for her. And she reported afterwards she felt so much better, so much lighter. She didn't feel that energy, that stress in her energy field that she was had been feeling for quite a while. And now we're just waiting to hear back from her. She said her tummy felt more relaxed. So, we usually like to give it a few days or maybe even a week or so. And we ask for you just to give us a little comment here. How you're doing. But she definitely felt better after doing this. And how long did it take? It just took a couple of minutes to identify and release these things. So that's why this is called a minute clinic, right? We can identify and release these negative thoughts or emotions for you within minutes. So you can feel a little happier, a little healthier. Maybe your system can function a little better. That's really what it's all about, is helping you to feel better. And that's something I'm very passionate about. I've been doing this for probably helping people. Well, actually, I started in 1969. And I started my venture into holistic health in 1969. I started by reading food labels. Anyone here do that? Yeah, we do that now. But I started doing that in 69, and I started to study more about nutrition and herbs and stuff. And then I started to study about the body, different types of massage. Then I became an RMT specialist. For many years, I had people come from all over the province to me for work. And then I was studying the mind as well, and how significant their mind was. And then the mind and the body connection, and how they were so connected. And then when I came across the initial book here by Dr. Nelson, the Emotion Code book, the program that he developed, I really started to realize how much emotions impact our well-being, our health and our well-being. again, like I said, even the Center for Disease Control states that pretty well most diseases have some kind of an emotional component. So if we can identify and release these emotional, negative emotions, then quite often these are things that can block or hold us back or stop us from healing, or block or stop or hold us back from maybe making changes in our life or moving forward. So these are very common. We all have trapped emotions, myself included. Dr. Nelson says that pretty well most of us could trap at least one emotion for every day of the year. So, here I'm going on 71. That's a lot of years I've had now to trap some emotions. We could have thousands of emotions that we've trapped. But in reality, what we're looking for is if someone is dealing with some kind of an issue, whether, again, a health issue, whether some negative thoughts, COVID-19, whether relationship stuff, whether they're feeling stuck, it's these emotions that will hold us back. So once I started to realize how significant these emotions were, before I even finished the book, I was working on myself, and then I was working on my cat, because guess what? We do this with animals too. I've worked on cats and dogs and horses over the years. Those animals that are connected to us humans, they have all the same emotions that we do. So I started to do the work, and I started to work on my patients as well, and got even better. I had really good results as a therapist, but when I started to do look at the emotional component of their sore back or their sore knee or whatever, and include that in my session, I had even better results. So, you know what? Emotions are very significant, and again, it's the emotions that drive us. So if you just joined us here today for the Minute Clinic, our next Minute Clinic coming up here will be on Wednesday of this week, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern, our COVID Minute Clinic. Feel free to tag some of your friends along, and I'll be looking for some volunteers to work on the Wednesday as well. So thank you for joining us here today. I look forward to our next get-together here. And again, if you have any questions or you're looking for information, you can go to my website, visionshealing.com, or to my facebook.com, Visions Healing, and find out what we're doing, what we're up to. So thanks for joining us here today, and goodbye to Ellison here, and Claude, and I think it's, is it Jay? Thank you for joining us, and all those other people that joined us, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care.